What's going on, guys? You read the title, you saw the thumbnail, and you clicked on that video. So yes, this is part 2 of the Trevor Wisecup zine situation. And if you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you watch part 1 before you watch this one.
Do it. Do it.
And then after you're done with that one, you can come on over here. So I have to make part 2 of this situation because there's only 3 information that I missed or didn't see. You know, when I made part 1, a lot of people were messaging me about Trevor, his demeanor, and I don't know, his photos suck or whatever the case may be. Some of them were zine related, but I can't and I won't share any of that stuff unless I have concrete evidence, whether that's interaction between him and a follower, a customer, or a post that he shared, which I will dive into, or an interview he's done on a podcast and he's talking about his zine work. Now, before we go down that rabbit hole, I just want to say something real quick to Trevor Wisecup directly. I just want to say that this is going to be the last time I'm going to be talking about his zine situation because I feel like it's just falling on deaf ears. And I don't know if people within your inner circle has shared it with you or not, or if you've seen the last video, but I think after I share some new information in part 2 in this video right here that I'm recording, I probably exhausted this topic out. The only time I'm going to talk about the zine situation is, hey Trevor, if you want to do a live together, if you want to come on my channel, we can do a live. We can do a live to tape pre-recorded situation, and we can talk about your zine. If you want to talk about other things, we can do that as well. I could send you the questionnaire beforehand so you can look at it. We won't talk about anything else unless you want to, and just give you a chance to clear the air, share your side of the story, and just give your fans and your followers an update. So what do you say? All right, so let's just jump straight into it. I have some notes here just so I don't forget. So far, we don't know, or at least I think most people don't know, is how many zines he's actually sold or, you know, technically collected currency for. There is a post about that, which I will share with you in just a bit. We don't know how many has been shipped, which he shares in post, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, to his defense, ever so slightly, I have experienced myself of zines or photo books not making it to my address. And it's weird, I know a few other people that this has happened to as well. Usually if you buy something on Amazon, they're good, but with bookstores or publishing companies, I don't know if UPS or the post office don't like books being shipped or not. Yeah, those tend to get lost pretty easily. I bought a book from a fellow New York photographer friend. I reached out to her and she had no idea what to do because the publishing company handled it, so rightfully so. I contacted the publishing company. They shipped out a new one. I received that one a week later, and then like 8 months later I received the original one, which is very, very strange. But anyways, enough rambling about that. I just wanted to share that with you. So in the first video you have seen Trevor Wisecup announced his zine on July 2023.
Resurgence, the brand new zine by Trevor Wisecup, can be all yours for $50 plus shipping and handling. DM Resurgence Trevor Wisecup to pre-order. Only 250 editions available. DM now.
So that's July 2023, limited edition. He goes on a podcast called Analog Talk. The episode date is listed October 2023. And on that episode, Trevor himself said that he has sold 400 copies of the zine. I was gonna say book because the zine looks like a book. So if you want to listen to that whole episode, I'll have the link down in the description box below. You can download it from Analog Talks podcast. But let's look into that. That time code is specifically at 4:51 of the podcast. So let's listen to it.
So you just released a zine too, right?
I did. Resurgence sold about 400.
Damn!
Congratulations!
Yeah,
that's not bad at all. Hello.
Not too bad, especially at the price it was. I priced it a little high, but that's because I think the work's good enough to be a book. But
dude, 100%. Yeah, your stuff's great.
That was my next question. I was like, okay, we did a zine. Is book in the future?
If I had a publisher, it would have been a book, because every time I make something, it's more like a book. It's not a zine. It's not like I fucking walked on Madison Avenue for 10 days. This is my zine. I was in New York. I went to San Francisco. This is my zine. Because this took like 2 months to put together, but it's 6 years of work.
Look at my investigative skills. I should change careers and work for the CIA or something. Hey, if anybody's in the CIA is watching this, you got a job opening, let your boy know. So there you have it. He said he sold 400 copies. He said it, not me, not anybody else. So fast forward a little bit. We're still on the zine topic at 540 of the podcast timeline. He talks about his friend, Mike Acampora. So let's listen to that.
And are you doing the layout and design, or do you have like a team that you work with, or how does that all work?
So my buddy, Mike Ack, he designed the zine, and I'm not going to discount anything he did, but I made all like the final decisions. Like I was like, we got to have it.
Yeah.
We got to have it pink, and we got to have it changed to blue, and we got to have this photo on the back, and like. But the funny thing is, he sequenced the whole thing. I was like, I want you to sequence it, and then I will approve whether I like it or not. So he sequenced the whole thing.
Okay, so his buddy Mike Acampora, who's the graphic designer and also the sequencer for the zine. You can find his IG because it's based on the Resurgence Wisecup Instagram, the zine Instagram. They're only following 2 people, which is Wisecup and Mike, and his Instagram is ax.art. Pretty good photographer himself. You know, you can't just dissect the numbers here. You got to kind of listen to Trevor's tone of voice and his delivery, his choice of words. You know, he's a young guy, so he's in that stage where it just sounds like he brings up Mike as the designer, but yet he undermines him by saying, well, it was still my decision. I had the final say on all the design, look, and everything. And I don't know why he would say that unless you still want to be, you know, seen as the final boss or want credit or acknowledgement. I don't know why you would undermine somebody that helped you create your work, especially if you made them sequence your work, which is kind of weird. Another note too, I had a few people that reached out to me that bought the zine, haven't received the zine yet. When they sent a PayPal over to the account you're supposed to send it to, it didn't go to Trevor directly. A lot of them told me it went to Mike's account, PayPal account. For some reason, I don't know, maybe Wisecup doesn't have a bank account because you need a bank account to link up to PayPal, Venmo, that sort of thing. Another interesting fact, and I just want to share this, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently Mike got 25% of the sales. I don't know what that means. Regardless, 25% is a lot of proceeds. Just some advice to you, Trevor. Never do any kind of percentage upfront unless they're in sales. They're gonna go out, push your product out in front of a new audience, new group of people, new eyes, and they have a list of potential buyers. Then it makes sense to do a percentage thing. But if he was the designer and the sequencer, just pay him the flat fee, whatever it is, $1,000, $500, 5,000. I don't know. I think that was a big mistake on the business side of it, but I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I've heard. Now I do gotta mention about this Analog Talk interview. The podcast host, you know, it's a guy and a girl. The guy's name's Tim. I only remember that because my name is Tim. I forget the girl's name. I think Emily. I think might be wrong, but they are blowing smoke up his ass. And hey, there's one thing to make your guests comfortable, but there's another thing blowing smoke up their ass. And from what I hear in that community over in New York, that sounds to be what a lot of them are doing with Trevor, making him believe that he's a lot better than he actually is. Okay, so that's some new information that I didn't have in part 1 of the video. I just want to dive into a little bit of this podcast interview. Let's listen to it together. It's hard to just judge numbers like he sold this, he shipped that. You got to really listen to Trevor's delivery and tone of voice to kind of string everything together. And in my first video that I did, I was just talking about the situation. I really didn't share much of an opinion about him, who he was. Once you listen to this whole episode, it kind of puts things into better perspective on who he is and what he's all about. So let's listen. Let's go to 33 into the podcast.
I was in a fortunate situation where I didn't have to pay rent for a little while. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So I took advantage of that, and I had a little bit of savings, and I used all the savings to shoot film, and then I ran out of money, and then my friends kept giving me roles. They're like, Trevor, you should have a role. So they just hand me roles for a month and a half, like I was running out of film all the time and didn't have a lot of money. So they were like, here, Trevor, have a role. Like they didn't say you deserve it, but they were like, you should have it. So they would give me a role. So how am I affording it? I wasn't.
Okay, I don't know if it's me, but that 30 seconds of dialogue really shares a lot about who he is, where he's at in his life, just the vocabulary that he chooses. I mean, I don't mean to be so hard on the kid, but he uses words like deserve it. He kind of stumbles on that word. So it did cross his mind. He probably feels like he's on a pedestal above everybody else. There are people there, whether you want to call them his friends or not, that blow up smoke up his ass and have even said that, you know what, when it's all said and done, he, Trevor Wisecup, may be the next Griii Winogrand. If you see my first video, you'll know who I heard that from. Just starting off saying he was living rent-free and took advantage, but also friends were giving him film roles. Not because he deserved it, which I don't think he meant to say, but it crossed his mind and it flowed out of his mouth. But they were just trying to help him out. I do think he believes he is a lot better than he actually is. He is young, fairly new to this whole game of photography, street photography, whatever you want to call it. But just something within those 30 seconds just comes off very standoffish, very pretentious, very, if I could just sum it to one word, entitled. You don't deserve anything, Trevor. You gotta actually work for it. Just like you gotta work for paying your rent and film roles. You gotta actually work for it. Work before you play. A lot of people in this generation, Gen Z, this is a good reflection on a lot of the Gen Zs. Not all, because I know some Gen Zs that are not of this image, but a lot of them are just like how Trevor is presenting himself. Remember how I described this whole 30 seconds. He comes off very entitled. Okay, so that's Analog Talk Podcast, October 2023. Just 3 months after his announcement of the Resurgence zine, we jumped from 250 to 400. I don't have a problem what anybody gets paid or how much people are charging for a zine, because at the end of the day, if people are gonna buy it, more power to you. I want people to make their money. I said that in the first video. Charge $100. I'm even more happy for you. Looking back on it, I think that's by the sound of Trevor's voice. He was a bit surprised. It sold out 400 at this point in time. At the price it did, he said it himself. But by the sound of it, it sounds like he probably should have listed even higher, maybe $100. Call it crazy. It is what it is. Okay, the next piece of shared content in regards to his zine Resurgence on 12/19. Trevor, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the post in front of me. I'll have the post right here somewhere. But on 12/19/2023, Trevor in his caption said he shipped 80% of his zines. 80% has been shipped out. But he also says this was overwhelming or very difficult to do for 500 orders. So just from October to December, and this initially was supposed to be a 250 limited edition, he sold another 100 zines. It could be more, and it since December of 2023 to now, June 2024, he's probably sold even more. I wouldn't be surprised if he collected more money for more than 500. And then so he says he shipped 80%. 80% of that 500, which is 400 copies. Oh my God! So he says it there himself. He shipped 400 copies. From the sound and the look of it online, I don't know if I believe that entirely. I mean, 400 copies is a lot. And for the amount of complaints I see online, I wouldn't think all of those people complaining online, not receiving their zine yet, would be those 100 people. I think if you had more like 200, 250 people still waiting on their zines, then those numbers with the complaints would match up more accurately. But yeah, that was the last update he's had with any numeric amount associated with it. Yeah, there you have it. I mean, I don't need this anymore. I mean, despite this issue with his zine and his followers, since I made the first episode, which was about 3.5 weeks ago, his popularity continues to grow. I mean, it seems like each week he grows about 600-700 new followers on Instagram. I'm assuming many of them don't know about this situation, but at the end of the day, it doesn't seem to hurt his popularity. Now, hopefully this doesn't hurt the next photographer that tries to do something similar with a zine or a book, and people are paranoid that they won't get their product shipped to them on a timely manner. But what are you guys' thoughts? Do you guys think Trevor Wisecup is an artist, or is he a fraud with this new information on how many zines that he supposedly sold or collected money for versus the amount that he claims that he shipped? But I don't know, from the sound of him in the podcast interview, it sounds like he's an opportunistic individual and entitled. So you know what? I'm not surprised that we're at this crossroads here where many people don't have the zine in front of them. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully this gets resolved soon. Again, I'm not going to talk about this topic anymore. If Trevor, if you want to come on my YouTube channel to clear the air, share your side of the story, share some numbers with us on how many you shipped, how many you sold, I think it'd be good to just communicate with your fan base. But yeah, I don't know, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this whole situation. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the notification bell as well, so when I upload a new video, our content, you'll be notified. Until next time, keep shooting.